What's up, investors? This is the Investor Weekly News Update for September 4th. We're going to be talking about what's been going on with the pay increases for blue-collar workers, inflation. The Bellagio Hotel has traded hands for those of you Las Vegas fans, and the jobless claims. It's my birthday, so I decided to treat myself and wear a t-shirt today. But first, the knowledge nugget of the week. This is pertaining to student loans, which apparently, if you have them, you have to start paying them back. But there's a few things to be on the lookout for. There's a lot of like social media madness of these gurus sharing these student loan hacks. One of the strategies that they talk about is because the student loans trade hands. It took me a while to realize this myself, but when I had student loans, some of those loans are originated from the government. So it's like you originate your loan from your bank and then it doesn't change hands. But for some of you guys understand the way loans work, a lot of those assets are traded hands a lot. And especially when you start to consolidate your student loans. So some of these like bad advice givers are saying the sort of the chain of custody of these loans is not really verifiable. And they're saying, go and fight it. Use one of our lawyers and fight it, which is messed up. And I think it might work. But I guess what they're saying, what we're saying here is just be careful of that because you could just be burning up legal costs by doing this kind of nefarious type of activity, I think, which I've always thought from a business owner standpoint or just from an honor or value standpoint, when you're doing messed up stuff with that, sometimes it's going to catch up to you at the end. But if you want to Google like National Collegiate Credit Loan Trust, they got their loans discharged because of this, but highly unlikely to work for those federal loans that didn't really change hands. So first thing here from Wall Street Journal, blue collar workers are finally getting paid more. So there's always been a little bit of a pull between white collar workers getting paid more, especially in the pandemic years. One idea was that the white collar workers weren't really impacted through the pandemic. And of course, there was a lot of layoffs in the blue collar world because of service sector, hospitality, and with all the restaurants closing or things closing, which are predominantly blue collar workers, that was why the pay went down. And now we're seeing this threshold kind of tip the scales in the other direction. Now, you could probably say maybe it's just an evenly hitting equilibrium again, but nevertheless, the blue collar kind of pay is coming a little bit back up in relation. And then, as I mentioned in my latest office hours, I will release that, I think, in a coming podcast. But if not, check out the YouTube channel for that. I did mention that it does seem like the blue collar workers, if you guys know any handyman, we need help at properties for blue collar staff, where to get more of a white collar worker, which we employ some, it's easy to find these types of people, right? Apparently, everybody got to go to college, or not everybody, but a lot of people got to go to college over the last decade or two, and there's quite a bit of white collar professionals out there, and there's a little bit of imbalance, if you ask me, for somebody who employs both sides of the paradigm. But let's talk about inflation. The Feds, what they prefer to take a look at as the inflation measure is the core personal consumption index, the PCE. This increased to 4.2% year over year in July, up from 4.1%. So it came up a little bit. Overall, your 3-month moving average is heading down here. You can take a look at the graph yourself to see the general trend. Although it's been a little sticky as of late, as of the last month. All categories rose 3.3% over year in July, in line with expectations, up from 3% from the previous month. So we released the latest quarterly report. So if you guys want to get your hands on that, please go to simplepassivecashflow.com/club. We are going to be unrolling out the new website, which is thewealthelevator. So if you guys have been getting emails from the team, address will be changing here. So don't be alarmed for those of us within the community already. Bellagio, that really cool hotel that Ocean's 11 they broke into supposedly, but the one with all the fountains, right? Actually, one of my favorite Las Vegas casinos, resorts. Actually, I don't really like gambling. I think it's a waste of money, but I do like that hotel to stay in because you can, if you pay a little extra for the fountain view, It's pretty much like getting a free show, listening to the TV and the fountains there. But Realty Income has entered into an agreement with Blackstone, who own that Bellagio, and for almost $1 billion, they're going to be buying a piece of that, and which puts the evaluation at $5 billion for the entire hotel. So the reason why I bring this up, Realty Income, they're coming in as preferred equity, and they're going to be holding a 95% stake in Bellagio's real estate assets. Blackstone had previously purchased Bellagio from MGM for 4.25 billion in 2019. So the price hasn't exactly gone up quite a bit. Part of that is things have come down off the highs of 2021. But Realty Income, now these are they're doing value add here, right? All these institutional firms, they do value add to a certain extent. They plan to invest about 300 million in common equity to gain an indirect interest of nearly 22% in the property and an additional 650 million in yield-bearing preferred equity interests, putting them at the top of the capital stack. So just wanted to point out this transaction because it's Las Vegas and a lot of people, like myself included, like the Bellagio Hotel. But this is how these deals are structured, with common equity and preferred equity, and how these kinds of deals are put together. Another, what's going on in Huntsville, we haven't talked about Huntsville, but it's a place that we owned a lot of assets here. So IMS Development has purchased 130 acres on the north side of Huntsville. Huntsville, we look at these types of developments and like growing patterns. We've got a development both on the west side of town and the northeast side. This is going to be more on the north side of Huntsville. Huntsville is growing all different directions, even on the south side too. But they're planning to put in a mixed-use campus, dubbed North Valley, which will comprise of 800 residences and 20 acres of commercial space. Kind of yawn here. It's the same old stuff you guys are used to, right? Big box realtors, hotels, restaurants, convenience stores, and entertainment venues. Probably no different than what you have 5 miles away from your guys' pool houses there. But it's just another example how I kind of say it in that way because, I don't know, to me, it's boring how cities grow. It's very predictable, right? You got your Best Buy, you got your Target, you've got your other big box stores, and it's generic. But you know what? The damn thing works, right? And I guess for us, all we're concerned is seeing that development come forward. And at the end of the day, people kind of cluster to the right areas where population growth or job growth is going. And it is what it is. It's not rocket science here. But as following up with the inflation, jobless claims falling in the last week, jobless claims fell to 228,000 last week, undershooting expectations for 235,000. So here's the interesting things. Obviously, it's not all spread apart. The big notable increases were in the transportation, recreation, and financial insurance. I will also say that a lot of the job growth is in the healthcare sector. Don't know how that helps you guys if you guys are into stocks or different things like that, but that was just something I noticed looking through some of this data myself. But if you guys are interested in connecting with us, we will be doing upcoming field trips in the month of October. We might be coming to a state near you. We plan to be doing some property tours and some investor mixers. So please connect with us, join our newsletter by going to thewealthelevator.com/club. Probably by the end of this week, this kind of website should be up. If not, you can always go to cashflow.com and then it'll probably redirect you to the new website whenever it does come online.